I'm James, that's Katie, and of course, that makes this episode 45 of the Circles and Squares PlayStation podcast. And Kate, we're getting towards the end of the year. It is like game crunch time, you know. We have our awards show coming up on a future episode, and we just watched the Game Awards a couple of days ago as well. And we will be talking about that for the second part of the show. But just before we get to that, though, I wanted to know, like, how did you enjoy the show? Did you have a good time watching it? What are your initial thoughts on it?
I had a great time. It was really nice to see the show back in person. Jeff had that super cool stage he did for a couple years doing the online version, but it was nice to see him kind of back in a theater with a crowd and some guests showing up. So that was really exciting. And of course, we'll get in all the games, so maybe I won't get too in depth with that. Obviously, the two main things that kind of stand out back in the stage is we had all the special guests. Pot Boy was there,
Yes.
his first year at the Game Awards. So very excited. Hope he shows up in future years. And the music as well. It was really nice to get all the music presentations. Especially you want to shout out to Darren Korb being there.
Mm-hmm.
According to Spotify, my most listened to artist of the year was Darren Korb.
Really?
So needless to say, yeah. So I mean, it's skewed. I only switched to Spotify for like 2 months.
Sure.
Kind of weird
Still,
statistics,
nonetheless,
but
that's pretty impressive, though.
still well deserved. I'm a huge fan of all the Supergiant soundtracks. Darren Korb is amazing, and of course, he showed up with Imagine Dragons, and they did this like mashup that had no business being as good as, because they're
Right.
totally different styles of music, and it was incredible. So I had a really good time this year at the awards.
Yeah, I echo you for sure about the music. I think the music is always good at the Game Awards. That orchestra does a great job, and I love hearing those orchestral renditions of the songs that we know from these great games. And so, I mean, yeah, that was a standout to me. I personally found that it was a little long and a little kind of top heavy in terms of like most of the big stuff was kind of at the front. I mean, it is what it is, right? They got to have the ad spots. Not everything can be huge. I would have liked maybe a little bit more emphasis on the awards themselves, considering it's an awards show. Like a lot of them kind of get glazed over and not really given a lot of time in the light to shine. But I mean, it was still fun. It's always a good time watching the show. You can tell Jeff's passion. You can tell the passion of the devs that go up and do get to give their speeches. You know, they're just having the time of their life, and so it's always a good show to watch. So, like I said, we will get into more about the Game Awards for the second half of the show. But just before we do, a little bit of housekeeping for you guys. We just recorded actually a bonus episode, the second ever episode of the Circles and Squares News Report, and that was a special episode all about Halo Infinite. Yes, the big Xbox exclusive that just came out. We were lucky enough to be joined by our good friend Nick from the Loud Thumbs podcast, and you can watch our spoiler-free review impressions of Halo Infinite, both the multiplayer and the campaign. That'll be coming out this Wednesday. So a couple days after you listen to this show, you can tune in for that and hear us break down all of our thoughts on Halo Infinite. So look forward to that in a couple of days. And speaking of the Loud Thumbs podcast, I was lucky enough to go make an appearance over there on their show, The Movie Reel, talking all about Into the Spider-Verse. And that was a great time talking about that with Nick. We actually had planned that out because Spider-Man No Way Home, or whatever it's called, is coming out very soon.
No Way Home. Yeah.
No Way Home, I was like, we should talk about Spider-Verse. And then we agreed on that a couple days later. It was the new trailer for Across the Spider-Verse that came out, so perfect timing. We just had a huge Gus session about how much we love that movie. So go over to Loud Thumbs and check that out as well if you want to hear me talk about something non-video game related.
Yeah, and speaking of the Loud, I'll jump one more on. You got to go on Spider-Verse, but I've been on their movie show a couple times as well. And actually, I recorded just recently with Nick again for another one. We watched Vanguard, which is like a new Jackie Chan movie. And it's definitely not as good of a movie as Spider-Verse. So not as much gushing, but definitely it's a lighthearted, goofy kind of little romp popcorn flick. And so we had a good time just kind of laughing about that. And yours is out, so people could go check it out now. But I think my Vanguard episode with Nick comes out on the 22nd. So you can kind of look forward to that as well. If you want to check out some movie stuff.
Perfect. Yeah, lots of good stuff to watch, and lots more to come too in the future. Like I said, we've got our award show coming up on future episodes, and then our first episode of the year is always our predictions for the upcoming year as well. So I'm looking forward to what we've got to talk about on our show the next couple times as well. So that being said, we do start this show off with the games we've been playing, and so we've got a big section coming up on the Game Awards. We're going to get all into that, but before we do, I just wanted to bring up a game that I've been playing, which is Dragon Quest XI, because this is a big ass RPG, and I know I'm going to be bringing it up a few times throughout the show as I go through the game, and so I just wanted to get my initial impressions out there right now. It's a good little short tidbit before we get into the Game Awards stuff. And so Dragon Quest XI is a game that's been on my list for quite a while, just because everyone knows Persona 5, favorite game. I'm trying to go through some other big hitter RPGs and kind of make sure I'm justified in having that kind of opinion. So this one's been on my list for a while. I actually got to try it out, the original demo, when I got to go to E3 a couple of years ago, so that was very fun. And so, yeah, I've been playing 11. It's pretty interesting, especially after playing Hero in Smash Bros, to go into this game and see like the source material for the character. And so, I mean, the art style is great. It's the same artist that does the Dragon Ball Z art, does all the Dragon Quest art. So obviously, you feel right at home, kind of like I recognize this design from like a Dragon Ball Z kind of character. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it is not like it's the same artist that just does both. It is the exact same style of art as well. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
He's got it down to a science.
Totally does. I think Akira Toriyama is his name, if I'm not mistaken, but don't. I might be wrong on that. Anyway, this is an interesting game. It's a very like, if you think about a JRPG, this one is a kind of a paint by the numbers. So far from what I've played, I'm about 15-20 hours in. It's just one of those, like, it doesn't reinvent the wheel on what a JRPG is, but what it does very well. I think that the game itself I've just really enjoyed playing it. It's very quick, very snappy. The stuff like the XP bars go up very fast, and you get a party of more than 4 characters. 4 is the most you can bring into a battle, and you can kind of swap them out before the battle. You can change tactics. You can have like the characters act on their own without having to put in command inputs. So if you're kind of running through an area where you're maybe a bit too strong, you can kind of just set it to, hey, use your basic attacks, run through it, and you don't have to really like click through all these menus. And just that kind of quality of life stuff, I think, is where this game is kind of really stood out for me at the start. Stuff too, like you can fast travel from anywhere. You can mount a horse and you can call it from anywhere, so you don't have to worry about like having to run and travel at a slower speed. Like, it just has a lot of those quality of life things that a lot of RPGs never used to have. That was like, but now they're just making it easier, I think. And I really appreciate that kind of thing, because these games are so long and so arduous to get through sometimes that you can kind of be discouraged if something's being very time consuming, and I just want to get to the story points, right, and get into the boss fights and go through that strategy more so than I want to be running across the map. So I really appreciate that kind of stuff. The story itself. So the story is the story of you're playing as the Luminary, who is Hero, and basically you're this reborn hero who's supposed to conquer this evil being that's coming. That's kind of just the setup for the game. An interesting detail though is the Luminary. Like, I guess the lore of the game is there's always a guiding star that's present to guide him on his journey, and what I like about it is that star, when it's nighttime in the game, it has a day and night cycle. Different enemies will appear, different story things happen only at certain times of day. But when it's nighttime in the game, you can actually see that guiding star in the sky, like part of the lore of the game.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think that's
cool.
a really cool detail, like similar to, those little like throw-ins that you might not notice, but when you do, it just adds to, like, they really put that extra level of care into putting that in the sky. So I really appreciate that. But story-wise, I mean, it's one of those, like, it's like I said, it's kind of paint by the numbers. You go from town to town, and there's a little side story that kind of happens, and you'll meet a new character or get someone else added to your party, and then you'll kind of go on your merry way off to the next location. And there's some story things that happen through the main quest and then side quest stuff as well. So, I mean, like I said, standard stuff, but that's what I'm here for. Like, I love these type of games. I think the battle system is great. Like, the encounters are not random, which I'm really appreciating. Like, I used to be a bit skeptical of those games that have like the enemies roaming in the environment, and because it's kind of like, couldn't you just choose not to fight them? And whereas the random battles, they kind of, I feel like the random battles put you on the right experience curve to where like they happen, and as long as you do the battles that show up, you're doing fine. But so far I haven't had a problem. Like I haven't really needed to grind. I've just kind of fought enemies where I've needed to. I seem to be as strong as I need to be. So that's going really well. And the other thing I wanted to shout out was the level up system, which I'm really enjoying so far at the start of my experience with the game. It's got one of those like sphere grid kind of, you play Final Fantasy X?
No, but I am familiar with it.
Okay, yeah. So it's got one of those, like you get skill points for leveling up, and then you got this grid of different. Yeah. Some things you can unlock. They'll like increase your stats, or they'll give you a new move, or they'll increase your HP, increase your MP, whatever it is. And it's kind of cool because every character has a few different paths you can go down. So the main character hero, he can use one-handed swords, two-handed swords, and he's got like a magic tree as well. So depending like what weapons you want to invest in, you can take the path a different way down that route, and you can choose what you're investing your points into. It's a lot like Ratchet and Clank as well, for anyone that's played those games, in terms of like...
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah. The way you described that is very similar to this.
Totally. And it even has the same thing as Ratchet and Clank, where you have some of the moves are like hidden. Like you can't see what that spot is going to be on the board until you make a circle around it, and that's how you unlock it. And so it's kind of cool to be like, oh man, like, if I go to the space on the left, like that seems really useful. But if I go to the one on the right, that's going to complete the circle around the hidden thing. So should I take a chance and like work my way towards what's probably going to be a very useful skill? So there's a little bit of, tweaking you can do to how you set up your characters. Not crazy in depth, but I mean, it's something that I appreciate. Definitely more than just like, you're level 16 now you have the fire spell. Like it's a little bit more customizable in terms of how you get to build your characters out and build your party, in terms of like the synergies of like this guy, I got another character, the jester, and he usually uses swords, but the thing is I have a lot of like single target attacks right now, so I switched him to be a whip user so he could hit multiple enemies at once. Just kind of that kind of level of customization, which I really appreciate in like party building in these kind of games. So yeah, I'm having a great time with it. I think my early impressions, the only negative thing I can really say about it so far is the goddamn soundtrack is not impressing me so far. I think that the music it's hit and miss. Like some of the tracks are kind of catchy, some of them are not. But the big gripe I have with it is there just isn't enough variety of music. Like every town you go to has the same town theme. Every battle has the same battle theme. Every open field has the same, like it's just one theme for all these places.
Right.
Even if you're in a different location.
So repetitive.
And it's so repetitive.
Right.
Like it's just. And the tracks aren't good enough to where it's like, in Persona, you have the same battle theme every time, but the music is like, it's a slap. Like every time you hear it, you're just like, yeah, this is great. Like I could just leave my TV and this will just play in the background and it's great. But Dragon Quest just kind of like, generic kind of like we're roaming across the fantasy, like, garden, and we're going down the path, and this is kind of the adventure music, and it's just not really doing it.
Right.
And I'm a little bit worried that it's going to get grating on me as I go along, because this game is, I'm probably maybe a third of the way through, probably not even quite that. And I'm just really scared that by the end I'm going to be like muting the game and kind of, listening to podcasts or something, which isn't a great feeling when you've got that long to go. So hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they introduce some new music, but yeah, not great. But yeah, that's Dragon Quest. I'll check in with it more. I've got some more to say about it, but I won't go too long here. I'm going to be playing it for a while, and we have a lot to talk about with the Game Awards. So why don't we get right into that, Kate, for the second half of the show? I think what we're going to do is there was a lot to talk about. There's a lot announced here. So we're going to run through, first of all, each of the winners of the different awards, talk about the ones that are relevant to us, and then we'll go through all the announcements as well. Because as we know, these shows are 50% awards and 50% like, we got to see some game trailers and stuff.
50-50 is very generous. I would say they're like 20% awards, 80% commercials.
Sure.
But luckily, we got some really cool commercials.
You're right. So yeah, we'll just go through these game awards. If you got something to say, go ahead and say it. So I know you're going to be interested in talking about this one, Kate. This is the most anticipated game, and the winner was Elden Ring, which, what can we say? You're hyped for it, and so is everyone else, right?
Second year in a row. We've won twice now. And the only reason we're not going to win next year is because we're going to win Game of the Year instead. And I'm so excited about this. You know, we always say FromSoft fans are nothing if not loyal. And I should have worn my Elden Ring hoodie today. I really should have. But instead, I don't know if you guys could see, I've got my Sekiro shirt on in honor of previous 2019 Game of the Year award winner. And I can't think of a better way to start it off than just recognizing how fucking cool Elden Ring is going to be. On day of recording, we are 75 days away, and we are still counting.
I love that you have the countdown. I was going to say, like, I'm really happy that it won this award for you. I think it's, I mean, obviously one of the most anticipated. I mean, it is the most anticipated according to the award. The only thing about this award is it's not one you want to win more than once because you want the game to come out. And so let's hope it doesn't even have a shot next year. Hey?
Exactly. But you know what is funny is this is basically the exact same contenders as last year as well.
Right. All the delays this year, right?
God of War Ragnarok, Breath of the Wild 2. Yeah, these are familiar faces in the most anticipated categories. So I hope all of them are out of it for next year.
Let's hope so.
I don't think Starfield will.
I don't think Starfield.
Everything else is going to exit this category. No.
We're gonna go through these next few pretty quick here, Kate. This is the esports rock block here, and I don't have any idea what any of this means. So, best esports team was Natus Vincere, CS:GO. Best esports game, League of Legends. Man, Arcane's really good, but fuck League of Legends. Best esports event, 2021 League of Legends World Championship. Same thing as I said before. Best esports coach, Kim KK Oma Jong-gyun. Best esports athlete, Alexander Simple Kotsiliev. Yeah, you can tell I have no idea what these people are. Content creator of the year, Dream. Okay, there we go. We're done the esports section. Now we can continue on with regular programming. Best multiplayer game. The winner is It Takes Two. I would like to say that I really think this was a strong pick for this category. I know we're going to talk about It Takes Two a bit more later, so I won't say too much. But the reason I think this is a great pick for this category is that you literally cannot play It Takes Two without two people. Like, this is not playable by yourself. And so, I mean, the rest of these games are, and so therefore, I mean, it's got to win, right?
Right. It's in the name, It Takes Two, and yeah, I agree. I think I'm glad that this one took it. It's a strong contender for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Monster Hunter Rise though. Great multiplayer game. Love that one as well. Best sim strategy game. Microsoft Flight Simulator was going for the repeat on this one. Did not win. Age of Empires 4 took it. Great to see that franchise come back, I think. That's such a classic, classic franchise. Probably won't play it, but good for those people. Best sports racing game, Forza Horizon 5. I've not played it. I know you probably haven't either, but I mean, by all accounts, it's amazing. So glad it won. Best family game, It Takes Two wins again, and Nintendo loses their own category, Kate. How disappointing.
That's right. Every single other game on this, up for this award is a Switch exclusive. Nintendo usually rocks this one, but It Takes Two is here, and what can we say? I got a shout out to WarioWare. I haven't played the new one, but right,
yeah,
WarioWare's in my blood.
Classic, yeah.
But yeah, I probably would have voted It Takes Two as well, so I'm on board with this.
Yeah. Best fighting game, Guilty Gear Strive. I don't have much to say about this one, but Guilty Gear looks really cool. Good graphics,
Guilty Gear is one of the most beautiful games in the world. I listen to the soundtrack all the time, so I'm pleased on that front. You got to give a shout out to the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl just for being an absolute meme of a game,
and for existing.
And apparently it has like one of the best like net codes as well for like actual online. So like it's not even just 100% a joke of a game. Guilty Gear is just like take 5 minutes to look at Guilty Gear and like game over.
I just want to shout out Melty Blood type Lumina because of its name. That's a fighting game apparently.
Melty Blood.
I'm gonna have to look it up after this.
Steam, and it comes up. I have a friend on Steam and it pops up all the time. He's playing Melty Blood and the name always makes me smile.
Best RPG was up next. Somehow Cyberpunk made the list, even though that game is a complete broken mess, and I feel sorry for anyone that bought it on launch. But Tales of Arise won here. I've not played it, but Tales is a solid RPG franchise, so good for that one. What I will say, though, very happy to see the winner of Best Action Adventure Game, Metroid Dread. And what a great pick, I think that that the Metroidvania genre is like a great encapsulation of action adventure, because you're literally exploring, you're fighting, in obviously action moments. So I mean, this game deserves some love. As we'll see, it didn't win Game of the Year, but I think I'm glad that it took something home, and I think it's a very appropriate category here for one of my favorite games of the year, which I know you've just started. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll talk about that on the podcast.
I have exactly. It'll come up soon. I have just started some Metroid Dread. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So, yeah, excited about this one.
Yeah, I do think Ratchet and Clank would have been another good pick for this one. Could have deserved some love. That game is incredible and should be recognized. But how do you argue against Metroid making its return? Best action game, Kate, Returnal.
Speaking of returns, I'm so pleased. We didn't get nominated for nearly as many categories as we should have. But if Returnal hadn't won this, I would have lost so much hope in people who watch these awards, because there's some other good games in this, not to discredit them, but like Returnal, it's such a special game for me. I was very pleased to see it pick up an award here.
I'm surprised that Ratchet wasn't actually nominated for action game, considering the large scale battles you get into with all the different weapons and stuff. Like, it really seemed like it would have belonged in this category, and maybe it would have had a better chance to win than action adventure. But that's the way it goes. Ratchet did have a chance to win Best Innovation in Accessibility, but it didn't, because Forza Horizon 5 is just a juggernaut of accessibility options, and every single game period should strive to include as much as they can that Forza has, because it's amazing what they've accomplished with that, by all accounts. Best VR AR game, Resident Evil 4. Kate, would you play Resident Evil in VR?
You would have to. There would have to be a very big incentive, like whether that's I never have to work a day in my life because I'm absolutely set up with money. Whether that's I don't know, I get Bloodborne 2 if I play it. It's got to be something worthwhile. Congrats to everyone who voted for this. If you've actually played it and it's a legit vote, because you are in the 2% of people who are brave enough to do so.
I would never be brave enough to play that in VR. There's no way. I could barely play 2 Remake. I can play it on the TV, but I mean, it's tense. If I was doing it in VR, I don't know. I don't think I could. Best community support was Final Fantasy XIV Online. We've both briefly touched this game. I think it's a great game. Admittedly, I haven't played a whole ton since I talked about it on the podcast, but by all accounts, this is the MMO right now, so it's not a surprise that it won this category here. Best mobile game. I know we don't really play a lot of mobile games, but Genshin Impact is the winner here. I'm sure our guest from last episode, Mike, will be quite happy about Genshin Impact winning this, because he's grown to quite like it, so congrats to Genshin. Best debut indie game is Kena Bridge of Spirits. I personally would have voted for The Artful Escape here. I gushed about that game last time on the show, and it's legit a Game of the Year contender for me. I've still not finalized my list, so who can say? But I mean, Kena looks it's like a AAA quality looking game. So I mean, it's
oh my god,
yeah.
Kena just looks like a Pixar movie that you get to sit and play. So I'm really excited. I heard it's on a good sale right now, and I think that's spoiler for upcoming episodes, going to be the next game I pick up most likely. So I'm glad to see people are loving it, and this only makes me more excited to play.
Yeah, same with me actually, because I think I'm going to pick it up on the same sale as you, to be honest, and especially since not only did it win Best Debut Indie Game, it actually won Best Indie Game overall as well, beating out the likes of Death's Door and Inscription, which is another oh my god, Inscription, what a game. We'll be talking about that in the future as well. But yeah, shout out to Kena just being sweeping the indie game scene, and obviously it's something special to win both of these awards.
Absolutely. What a breakthrough year for them. And I got to shout out to Death's Door. I will probably speak about it on our next episode. I have officially beat it. The 100% is on the title screen for me now.
Nice
final ending, secret ending, and I've had an absolute blast with it. So I kind of had some fingers crossed for Birds winning this one. But what's funny is I was playing with a friend and we beat Death's Door. We're like, okay, what game should we play next? And then he was like, oh, you wanted to play Kena, right? Let's play Kena. So it's kind of funny that Death's Door was beaten out by Kena, the next game in our list. So I guess we've done it in the right order.
Right, you're leading your way up. You're saving the best for last, according to the Game Awards. So yeah. Best ongoing game goes again to Final Fantasy XIV Online. Similar to Kenna sweeping the indie games, I think this game is just sweeping MMOs and those kind of live service games right now. So good to see that. Games for Impact is Life is Strange True Colors. Not really surprising from what everything I'd heard. Kind of the buzz around this one is Life is Strange is just outstanding in this kind of area. So something I haven't played. I don't think you've played it either, but happy to see it. Happy to see it win there. Best performance, Kate. Now, this is one I wanted to get your thoughts on. Winner is Maggie Robertson, Resident Evil Village. She was, of course, the tall Lady D that everyone loved the memes of earlier in the year. Do you think this performance was Game of the Year, Best Performance Award winner quality, or how do you feel?
So I can't really compare it to a lot of the other contestants here because this is the only game of the 4 that I've played. But she was awesome. Lady D was like such a meme before the game came out. But she did a really good job. I think that section in particular, there were some other vampire NPCs. She had like some daughters, and I was really underwhelmed with the daughters. I thought it was kind of like a wasted potential in terms of like the vampire family. But Lady D herself was like fantastic. She was a standout, so I'm really excited to see her win this. I was excited when she went up and got her award and found out she's actually quite tall in real life. I think that's kind of funny. But yeah, she did a killer job, and she just looked so like appreciative and like so passionate about having played this character. So like it was a really nice award to see.
Yeah, I think so. I got the impression it was one of her first roles in a game too. Like she was saying in her speech, like they took a chance on her. So I really like to see that more so than some of the usual suspects that could come in, like the Nathan Fillion. Who am I saying? The guy that plays Nathan Drake, whatever.
Nolan North.
Nolan North, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, best audio design goes to Forza Horizon 5. I think we said on the prediction show that these driving games and whatever seem to always get those type of accolades, so not surprised. But what was a bit surprising was best score and music. Or did you want to say something about audio design? I feel like I cut you off.
Oh, I was just saying that's one of the ones Returnal was up for, and Pipe Dream, but Forza seems like it.
Sure.
It's a good choice too.
I would have liked to see Ratchet and Clank win it too, just for like the different weapons all sounding so distinct and the enemies and their dialogue and all that too. But I mean, audio design, like we said, Forza seems to just kill it in that area. So yeah. Best score and music. I mean, how did The Artful Escape not win this game? That game is like built around its soundtrack, and I'm pretty disappointed. Although to be fair, Nier Replicant did win this. Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139 actually is the full name of the game.
Right. So if you've only played version 1.1256, like don't even consider that an option. That is not the right score.
Exactly. I'm a little bit surprised though. Like I feel like Nier is known for its soundtrack, but it seems a little bit more niche. Like I honestly thought that Guardians would have maybe been the most preferred pick here, just because it's got like that licensed soundtrack. But hey, Nier's got a good soundtrack too.
I think with these kind of things, like licensed soundtrack is always good, and I think Guardians like uses it so well, and like it's obviously such a quintessential thing. Like Guardians and music is like they're so intrinsically tied together. But I think when it comes down to this, like I personally would always like vote for the score, like original score, like for a game that kind of like it's its own thing. It's made for the game, like the game's designed around with it, and so like I kind of like when something like Nier takes over something that's like just using licensed music really well.
Sure.
And I haven't listened to the full soundtrack. Nier Replicant is on my list. Like they're pretty high up. Nier's coming soon. So I'm kind of excited to get some recognition. And I've heard that the art direction of that game is supposed to be amazing. So
it is. I played Nier. I played Nier Automata one time through, and I know one time through is not beating that game. So I mean, I shouldn't speak too much about it, but it's a good game anyway. Best art direction goes to Deathloop. Contentious category here, Kate. Again, Artful Escape, I think, really had a chance at this. I mean, Deathloop got so much marketing, so much hype. It was bound to win something, and I mean, it also looks good in my opinion. Like I'm not surprised. Kenna, another one though, could have won easily.
Yeah, it's a tough call. It's just one of those, like, it comes down to personal opinion, right? Like, all of these games have amazing art styles. They're all gorgeous. Like, it's just which one have you played? And and how
Yeah,
pretty was it? Like, kinda,
exactly.
yeah, I
Exactly.
think Deathloop has that buff of just, like, so many people picked it up, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Best narrative. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy does win this game. Not really surprised. I've heard it's very dialogue heavy. Are you planning to play this at all? I do plan to pick it up. I think I've heard
Yep.
enough good stuff. Like, it's interested me enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what it came down to for me on this one was, I knew it looked fun, I knew it'd be good, but what it came down to was how well is the dynamic between the Guardians themselves. If that's really well written, then I think this game is a slam dunk. If it's not well written, I think it would just kind of derail the whole experience. So the fact that it won Best Narrative really gives me a lot of hope, and I think I've kind of answered that question in terms of like it is what I want it to be. And we shout out our friend Nick, who's coming up on our Wednesday episode. He's been playing Guardians of the Galaxy and absolutely loving it. So
Mm-hmm.
winning this award and just hearing his experience, I think it is really shot up on my to playlist.
Sure. Best game direction goes to Deathloop. Again, how can you argue Deathloop? I mean, many people thought would be a Game of the Year winner, so it kind of makes sense that the direction also goes in that way. But again, I see Returnal on the list, Kate. I see you getting sad. So, I mean, yeah, that would have
You know
been.
what? All I can ever hope for is that more people play Returnal, because I think it's one of those games where it is so weird and so niche, but like I haven't played a game in a long time that has surprised me as much as Returnal has, and it's just like you could take like I want to take the college course on breaking down like all the symbolism and the storytelling in Returnal, because it is an absolute work of art. And it's not to say Deathloop isn't. I haven't played it. It looks good. But I think Returnal is just even that one step up of like it gets so bizarre and so um it's functioning on another level that I think most video games don't get to.
Right.
And it's a shame to not see that take the award, but we won one, so I won't complain. And Deathloop does look good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, innovation in game direction and design. Like, I feel like Deathloop's whole concept of like the looping time and all that, like, it's very innovative. So, I can
Mhm.
totally see why it won. Like, Rift Apart's on here, and to me, like, that game is like just a very polished version of what Ratchet and Clank's always been. I wouldn't say it's necessarily innovative, right? It's just harnessing the more
Mhm.
powerful console to make the best experience in that type. So, I mean, yeah, Deathloop and Returnal, I think, were the strongest contenders there. I'd love to see the vote count and kind of how it shook out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, Kate, the last award, Game of the Year, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. We had the nominees Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And to the surprise of many people watching, the winner was It Takes Two. A game which I mean, I really enjoyed. I played earlier in the year. I thought it was a really joyful experience. Honestly, I know sometimes people have the thought that games that come out earlier in the year have a bit of a tougher time winning sometimes, just because the recency bias of having played some other stuff. But no, It Takes Two ended up winning, and we got Joseph Ferris on stage to give his speech. He managed to hold himself together, though. He didn't say anything
Yep.
too crazy, which is a little
No,
disappointing for.
there was yeah, it kind of was. He didn't flip anyone off. There was, I don't even think he swore once. He was
No.
very tame this year.
Yeah, I love how like everyone's
um,
dressed up so fancy, and he's just wearing like jeans and a t-shirt and goes up on stage. Like, it's just
mhm.
fantastic. But yeah, it's an
Yeah, he
interesting
is.
winner for sure.
Yeah, he's a fun character, and yeah, I'm actually really pleased this game won. I really like seeing these kind of smaller studios pick stuff up. I know we talked about like when Hades was
Hmm.
up for a lot of awards, and obviously Supergiant's such a well-known, like really highly acclaimed studio, but they're still very small studio, right? They're not a AAA studio. They're kind of an indie that does their own thing, and it's nice to see like It Takes Two kind of go up against all those AAA. Like how much money and time and
Sure, yeah.
development did like Ratchet and Clank and Resident Evil have in comparison to Takes Two, right? And it's just kind of nice to show that it's not, it's about your creative vision and how will you pull that off. It's not about how much money you throw at a problem. And it's not to say that those other games, like, that's what they did and they didn't have what It Takes Two has, but it's nice to see that space open up for more developers, and something like this get taken as seriously as the big AAA games. So
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to see it win, and oh my god, do I need to play A Way Out so I can play this game?
Yeah, you really do. I
Yeah.
mean, just to talk about it for a little bit, like, I mean, It Takes Two is I've played all three games from Hazelight so far, like Brothers, Way Out, and this one. And as
Mhm.
people know that have listened to the show for any length of time, like Brothers Tale of Two Sons is on my short list of like favorite games ever. I think it's just so
Yeah,
special, and
me
so
too.
having another game from that studio get recognized in this ilk, I just hope that they continue to be able to push the boundary of kind of like these type of games, especially like this is the first one that's well, I guess no, A Way Out was two players as well, but I want to see
Oh yeah,
more
it
of
was
these
two
kind of
players.
like two person co-op kind of you know linear type of experiences. Like it's not like jumping into a co-op game where it's like an open world thing or something else. Like these are just like it's a two-person platformer with specific mechanics where you both use your skill set, and it's very dependent on like working together. I just want to see more of that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
so the fact that it won means that I would imagine a lot of other people have that same feeling, and that's just a good thing for the industry, I would say.
Mhm. Ab-
um yeah,
Absolutely.
but those are the winners of all the awards, and I think honestly, like, yeah, some surprising picks in there, but I think all pretty justified in their wins. We can say certain games got snubbed here and there, but at the end of the day, only one game can win, and so that's what we saw, I guess. Congratulations to It Takes Two. Congratulations, Joseph Ferris. And let's see who wins
Mhm.
next year. Hey, let's see if you're right about Elden Ring or not. Next year we'll find out. Um,
It's a foregone conclusion. I'm sorry, everyone.
we
It's
will
happening.
see.
I'm calling it right here. You heard it today, a
It's a
year in
good bet.
advance, and
It's a safe
it's a
bet,
safe
but,
bet.
but we will see.
It's a safe
Kate,
bet.
though, like as I said at the top of the show, the Game Awards is a lot more than just Game Awards. There's also a lot of commercials, a lot of announcements that happen. And so, yeah, do you want to go ahead and walk us through the commercials that we got to see during the show?
Absolutely. So we're gonna kind of go in order here, I guess, just to make it as fair as possible, I suppose. And obviously, they kind of ramp it up. They do it on purpose and give us a set schedule. So I'm going to shout out just a couple things in the pre-show first.
Sure.
What's funny is when I watched the show, I didn't know there was a pre-show, so I totally missed it.
I didn't
And then
catch
when
it
I
either,
was
unfortunately.
yeah, and then when I was allowed back on the internet after having watched the Game Awards, because I watched it a day late, and so I did the whole like avoid everything at all costs kind of thing. And then when I was allowed back on, I realized that hang on, I don't recognize a lot of these games or some of these games I've seen, and it turns out there was a pre-show. So I'll run through those quick. So we had Tunic shout out again, which we've seen a few times at various award shows over the last couple years. And it's funny, this game always used to be like, that's the Zelda game, right? Like it's so cute. Like he's obviously wearing the like Link's outfit, and it's the puzzle action kind of game. But after playing Death's Door, now when I look at this game, I'm like, oh, it's like Death's Door because it's
Right,
like
yeah.
the cute animal version. So I'm excited for this game. That'll be good. We got a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, which
It's an
I don't
interesting
know
movie
who's
to
asking
bring.
for.
It's a really interesting game to bring out, like, or interesting property to turn into a game.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be multiplayer, so I don't know, kind of like I guess probably a fun night with friends. Just do some dumb horror schlock stuff. Um, I won't go through every single one of these, but I'll shout out a couple more. We got this one's just kind of funny. We got an Expanse Telltale game. So Expanse has been that big show. It's gotten really popular. It's got books, I think, and it's like a tabletop game. So it's a pretty big. It's an expansive universe, you could say. But what was really funny is I watched I watched the awards with a friend, and he had a couple things spoiled for him. He wasn't as strategic because I was, and made sure to tell everyone a heads up, no
Right.
spoils, don't look at the internet, so he got a couple things, and the Expanse Telltale was one of the things he got spoiled, and he was really excited about it because I guess he's a big fan of that
Sure.
property, and so we watched the show not realizing there's a pre-show, and he's like, oh, there was no Expanse thing. He's like, that's weird, I could have sworn there was a Telltale game. And so
That's funny.
when I found it afterwards, like, oh, guess what. And
Interesting.
so that
Yeah.
was kind
I
of cute.
I mean, I've never watched The Expanse, but this is actually one of the pre-show ones I wanted to shout out because I'm a huge fan of a lot of the Telltale games, and so I mean,
Yeah.
and I like sci-fi stuff as well, so I might just dive into this and see what it's like at some point, not knowing anything about the show.
Yeah. Oh, well, you have to let us know. The other one I want to shout out is it's called Have a Nice Death. This looks
Yeah.
awesome. This was actually the indie game I saw that made me go back and find the pre-show. because it's like you're Death and you're just in this like mundane office job, and he's just got all this paperwork stacking up, and he's like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I'm going back out in the field. And it's got a really cool art style. It's like a 2D kind of action game. It reminds me a lot of something like Skull or Dead Cells. And the combat just looks like super slick and fluid, and I'm very excited for this style of game in general. And I love all the little like cute death spin-offs that we get. I like that. It's almost like a genre now, or its own style. It's like
Sure.
cute death.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's got a good look. I'm a fan of this one also, and also Planet of Lana as well. You talk about cool art styles. That one.
Yep.
It's from the same composer as The Last Guardian as well, which apparently had a pretty cool soundtrack. So that one's on my radar for sure.
Yeah, that looks like a good time. There's one other funny game here. It's the next Annapurna game showed up in the pre-show here. It's called Thirsty Suitors. And it kind of just looks like if Annapurna made a Scott Pilgrim game. It's the kind of vibe I'm getting from it. But then they started skateboarding halfway through the trailer, so I don't know if I'm in anymore.
Tony Hawk.
We might have to dedicate you to play that one.
Well, we'll see.
That's
Maybe
right. Too much Tony Hawk in there for me. And finally, the pre-show ended off with a Persona announcement, which is unfortunately not Persona 6. But we got Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and that's coming to Steam, PS4, and Switch. So I'm not really... Persona has so many weird spin-off things. I'm not really sure. I think this is the fighting game one.
Yeah, it's like a re-release of their fighting game, I think, Persona 4 Arena. So this is just like an updated version of that. They continue to just tease us. Like, people want so much from Persona. We want Persona 6. We want Persona 5 on different consoles. We want Persona 4 on the Switch. And instead of getting any of those, it's just always like, here's a dancing game. Here's a fighting game, which are great in their own right. But come on, they know what we want, and they're not giving it to us. And one day they will, hopefully, but we'll see.
And Atlas teased so long ago, they're like, oh, it's a big Persona anniversary. We got so much to tell you. And then it's been like nothing.
Yeah.
So they're really tugging on our heartstrings. But anyway, I think that is probably us pre-show. But we can get into the real show. And my God, is it a long list to get through. So like, I hope you got a cup of coffee, grab some hot chocolate, grab some snacks. Let's just get right into it. So they opened up with some awesome music. We had some arcane specials. So while we never want to say that League of Legends is a game anyone should get into because we don't want to be held responsible for your mental health, we do want to say that Arcane is an amazing show, and it is just gorgeous. Stories, fantastic, wonderful characters. The music is phenomenal. So that was a pretty banger way to start out the show. And then they're like, we're going to one-up it. And here's Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga. And this was a long look. This was a long in-game trailer. I had no idea what that Titan was or what's going on. But it was really cool to see it switching between like obvious like kind of like cut scene sort of thing to like now it's the gameplay and you're running, and then it kind of goes back to these like amazing like throwing spears and stuff. And I don't know what the hell is going on in this trailer, but I do know I want to go back and play the first one, and like this is a cool game to start the show off.
Totally agree with you. And the first one's on my short list as well, especially since I have Game Pass going on now. I'm blown away that this was gameplay for a lot of it. It looks like a true showcase in a way that we haven't seen a lot of for like what is next gen now. We're kind of getting into the second year of what the Series X and the PS5 can do. And I think that this is one of the best looking games I've really ever seen, honestly. You're right, it was a long trailer. That giant was very strange. I felt kind of bad for him that he was lit on fire, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, like not knowing the story, that maybe he deserved it. I don't really know. But I mean,
he kind of says at the end too, he's like, save me, and I think there's definitely like a conflict there. I would be surprised if he wasn't like someone notable from the first game that's maybe like had something happen to him, or like they're like a misunderstood race or something. But I guarantee that was important. But as someone who hasn't played the first game, I had a lot of questions. But like hooking, intriguing questions, not like I'm tuning out kind of stuff. So
sure, yeah, I'm with you. And I think this is just we'll go through the rest of the games, but this is kind of the first standout of like, wow, Xbox is kind of bringing it this year at the Game Awards. So we will continue, I guess.
So we jumped right from that to some Star Wars Eclipse. This was just kind of like a trailer. It doesn't really tell you what the game's about. We have no information on it. But I am crossing my fingers because it had this Voldemort looking guy and he was drumming along and it kept showing like, this like amazing, beautiful Star Wars world. And then they'd swap back to him and there was like two of them now and they're drumming. And by the end, he had like a full-fledged band of these like drummer Voldemorts. So I've got my fingers crossed that this is actually going to be a rhythm game and it's just like Star Wars rhythm, like, Star Wars Rock Band, but I don't think that's the case.
I mean, I wouldn't get your hopes up. It is a Quantic Dream game, so it's probably going to be one of those choose your own adventure type of things. I'm torn on this one. I mean, for a few different reasons. Number one, Quantic Dream as a company, very questionable, not exactly in the news for a lot of good things in terms of like their workplace culture and all that kind of thing, which is I mean, can't be understated. At the same time, I do enjoy the games they put out, which is a bit of an internal conflict for me. It's just they're really my kind of thing. So I'm kind of on the fence if I actually will play this, just not being a huge Star Wars fan. But I could see a realm where I do get into this, maybe on a sale or something, in spite of their questionable leadership at best as a studio.
Well, hopefully that gets sorted out by the time we get any information. I'm sure this is not a game coming up soon.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No. Well, we can hope. The next game we got here is we got Cool Anime Game the First. And this is Lost Ark.
I have nothing. I have nothing on this one. I mean, we got a lot to talk about. This isn't it for me.
Exactly. So we'll move on. Another one, not really anything to show, but just to shout out, they're making a Wonder Woman game. Kind of cool, maybe attempting to replicate the style of like the Spider-Man or like the upcoming Wolverine. So
yeah, very exciting.
That is pretty cool.
We've had some really high quality superhero games coming out with especially the Spider-Man franchise. And there's historic like Batman and the Arkham Asylums are really well received. So I'm hoping more of the same for this. I think Wonder Woman's a cool character. There's some stuff they could do with her. And it's from the Shadow of Mordor developers. So, I mean, that game was, I would say, good, not great. Hopefully they can take the good parts of that and make this something special.
Yeah. So the next one was a big one for me. It was kind of funny watching this trailer because it starts out and they set the tone and then he's talking about a story. And I turned to my friend, I was like, oh, this looks so Alan Wake to me. And then finding out that it really was Alan Wake was a bigger surprise than whatever else it could have been. I am so thrilled for this. I loved the original Alan Wake. I'm gonna be getting the remaster to relive that one. And knowing that after like 10 plus years,
it's been a long time.
We're getting a return to Alan Wake and like, the character model looks amazing. I don't remember it being so attractive in the first game, but this is gonna be great. It's so cool that when they come back and they bring it back, and even they had a nice talk about it. And he's like, "Yeah, we've always wanted to do a second Alan Wake. Like people loved it, and they were busy with other things. They made Control and some other really good games in between. So it was cool to see him come back and be like, we're passionate, we're ready to do it. Alan Wake 2, it's happening."
Yeah, Alan Wake's one of those embarrassing games that I have not played, but I've always wanted to, especially like I know you enjoy it so much. Mm-hmm. And seeing this trailer just made me want to play the original even more because this was definitely one of the standouts of the show, even though I haven't even played the original. It just looked great. And I'm so happy for people such as yourself that have been clamoring for more Alan Wake. It's always great when these kind of things get announced, especially when they're not spoiled and it actually is a legit surprise, which you can't say very often these days, especially for the big announcements. So yeah, amazing reveal.
Amazing. Another next thing we actually had a movie come up next. So we had the Sonic movie, the second, and it looks, I don't know, I didn't watch the original Sonic movie. I've heard good things. I've been meaning to watch it and just haven't. This trailer didn't do a whole lot for me, to be honest. But I've got to make a confession, an unpopular opinion. I am not a Jim Carrey fan. I've just always found him like he's just too much for me. He makes me uncomfortable, and maybe that's a me thing. But he showed up at the Game Awards, and I just wanted to like crawl inside my couch and hide. So yeah, excited for Sonic 2?
You know what? I actually saw the original Sonic with our cousin, who's a big movie fan, Big Sonic fan. And I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. You got to go
Yeah.
in with the right expectations, right? And the redesigned Sonic model looks a lot better than that original monstrosity.
Oh yeah.
I think they did a good
Absolutely.
job, and I actually agree with you kind of on Jim Carrey. He's not my cup of tea necessarily either, but I actually think that Robotnik, for whatever reason, is a great role for him, and he killed it in the first movie. Honestly, I think he actually stole the
Mhm.
show, and so I'm actually fairly excited to see this movie. As a popcorn kind of like action type of flick, like
Yeah.
if we get more video game movies that are kind of just of this quality, which is fine. I'm all for it. I think it's fun, and it's just another way to celebrate characters that we like. Considering we don't get a lot of good Sonic games, so at least we get the movie.
Hey, well, we'll save that for later. We'll touch back on that. We'll have a brief Sonic intermission to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn 2. We've had a lot of looks at this game, some extended trailers in the past, and we got another look. And like, oh, I cannot say this enough. Every time I see this game, like, it is beautiful, and I just feel embarrassed that I haven't played the first game and everything about it. I mean, that snowy area where it's on fire, and you've got those like dinosaurs and that snake that shows up, and she's got Tony Stark menus now, and just everything about this game is like made me so excited to go and play the first one. And like, I've got some catching up to do because the world of Horizon Zero Dawn is potentially one of the coolest video game worlds I've ever seen. And it just looks like they had something really special with one, and they're just knocking it out of the park with everything we've seen about two.
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times now, so I'll keep it short. But I mean, I agree. Like this game looks phenomenal in a way that the Hellblade trailer did earlier. Like this game looks equally as next gen and impressive. We're running out of time to play the first Horizon, Kate. We probably should get on that sooner rather than later if we want to make good on that promise we made earlier. So let's try and do that, because I'd like to play this one for sure. It looks amazing.
Deal. We'll see. Whoever can beat Horizon first, we'll think of some kind of prize. While
Okay.
we work on that, exciting news: Final Fantasy VII is coming to Epic, so that's cool. It was a PlayStation
Yeah.
exclusive, I believe. So good for you, Epic. I hope you paid a lot of money for that.
Yeah. It's
But good for
interesting.
everyone who wants to play it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know like when or if this is ever going to come to Xbox. I know that there was a lot of talk about that, but it just hasn't really done so. And now at least it's on PC, so maybe that means good things coming forward. Everyone play
Yeah.
this game. It's great. And let's hope we get
Mhm.
the second part sooner rather than later, and it's not like a 7-year wait for a game that I'm really excited for.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what we always say, right? The more places people can play games, the better. And next up, speaking of, I guess, places to play games, we got a cross-platform game, and this is not something new news, but it is a new trailer for the Destiny 2 expansion, Witch Queen. It looks pretty good, I gotta say. I think I will likely pick this up, but I've got a lot of other Destiny content to do in the meantime, and they go on pretty nice sales from time to time. So I'm going to be working through Forsaken, and then
Yeah,
I have a feeling I'm going to get roped into playing some Witch Queen.
sure.
Um,
Hey, if it's a social thing, go for
and
it. That's
moving
awesome.
on,
Yeah.
we've got now this exactly. And the next one, this is a standout to me. This
Ooh.
game next up is called Slitterhead, which I think sounds hilarious. But the game looks anything but hilarious. It is we got Bocust Game Studios. It's maybe how you pronounce it, but it's the OG Silent Hill creator. So we already know what kind of tone we're setting here. And man, I underestimated this trailer. I saw that guy in the alleyway, and he sees that girl. She's kind of like, you know, giving him an offer, and
Yeah.
immediately, like, yeah, she's gonna turn into a horrible monster, of course. I thought I had this trailer figured out, but oh my god, did I not? She turns into that like bone monster. It reminds me of some of the skeleton spiders in Dark Souls 3, and then later on we get someone who's like faces like horrific face monster, and then it like
Yeah.
turns back into a normal person, very Parasite style, if you've seen that show. And like, this game genuinely looks like it could be the scariest game I've ever seen in my life. I can't wait to play it.
It's interesting you have that opinion of it. I actually thought the concept looked good, but I don't know if I thought the game itself looked great. Like the design wise, like I found it just a little kind of off-putting a little bit. Like to me, it's going to come down to like, what is the gameplay here? Is it action focused? Are you running from these things? I'm just not sure. Like the world is cool, but something about it just is a little off-putting. I don't know. And Splitterhead,
I think Slitterhead. I think it looks like it's probably going to be more action focused.
yeah,
And I think having that Silent Hill, like, like that name to back it up probably
sure,
helps a lot. But I don't know. And I sent it to my horror game group and I was like, this is the scariest game ever. Like, I almost considered not telling you because I don't know if I want to play it, but I want to play it. And they kind of have the same reaction. They're like, yeah, it looks good, but it doesn't look like you kind
yeah.
of hyped up how scary it was. So I don't know if it's just a me thing, but something about it just, especially that the silhouette of the monster that first gets shown off, something about that hit this like primeval like feeling in me, like it awoke in something I didn't know I was scared of, but now is like I've got this massive PTSD trauma for it. And like I don't know, it just hit me in all the right ways that a horror game should, and I think it looks great.
Good.
And then we'll move on. And the next game they showed off kind of is the opposite for me. It's Nightingale, which is kind of like this cool like timepiece, like time travel almost kind of game. The world looked amazing. It's got a lot of like really neat monster designs and kind of got that Victorian era, which I usually enjoy. But I'm kind of sad on this one because it is a survival base game. It's got a lot of base building, a lot of like crafting and, like resource management and that kind of stuff. And that is not my style of game, but I really wish it was because the world looks really neat.
Everything you just said is exactly how I feel about this game. I was interested, and then that base building stuff shows up at the end, and I couldn't have been more turned off by that. And especially it's interesting. So apparently this is being developed by a former BioWare boss, Aaron Flynn. And that's interesting to me because obviously those games are nothing to do with base building or anything like that. So I feel like it's either going to be a lot better than we give it credit for because maybe he's been wanting to go and do something completely different for a while. Or it's going to be a complete flop because, it's just a different right turn for that type of developer. I mean, not that I know a lot about him, but it's just an interesting choice between like that kind of gameplay versus the pedigree of who's designing it. So interesting to follow, but I can't say this is doing it for me so far.
Fair enough. It's a shame on that one. That was my biggest kind of similar to the next one. We got to see some more Lord of the Rings Gollum, which we did know about, but I don't think we've really seen too much. So I think this was the first really good look at Gollum we had.
Yeah, his face is very strange. I don't know if I like his look.
Yeah, it was a little cartoony for my taste. I think he was done really well in the Shadow of Mordor game. I remember him being kind of like unsettling. You really felt like the movie Gollum in that one for me. And this one is not really capturing that. So it'll be interesting to see like how much that influences the game because I was kind of looking forward to this. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan and Gollum's such an interesting character. So I don't know. This is a question mark still.
Yeah, I'm interested just to know, like, what exactly are you doing in this game? Because Gollum himself is not like he has a lot of powers or abilities or, it's an action-adventure game is what they're saying. So, I mean, is it kind of more stealth-focused? Are you kind of sneaking around the orcs and stuff? Are you playing tricks on them and dropping, like, molten lava from the roof or something? Like, I'm struggling to think, like, what are you going to be doing playing as Gollum for that long?
It's a puzzle riddle game. You just have riddle battles until someone cheats, like Bilbo.
Right. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So we kind of got the next one is sort of like the quintessential indie game to show up. It's really got that art style. It's got what looks like to be a artistic story. You're traveling to some degree. The things from Metroid Dread are chasing you. It's really what the monsters look like to me. Not a whole lot, but Somerville looks like maybe a game to keep an eye on. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one of the ones that honestly I don't really have much memory of watching, which to me says, it didn't really stand out too much. From the makers of Limbo though, which is kind of cool. Like Limbo is a great game. I really enjoyed that. So if anything, just that name alone has me wanting to follow it a little bit, but it's just a trailer among many others.
Yeah, it was a quick brief look, and sometimes you gotta have those little ones, and then you get something big to focus on. So next, this one was funny for me because I saw this trailer and I was like, it's BioShock. The BioShock rumor was real. We had the band come out. They got the flapper girls dancing. The background they had was this like dark blue and these like very rapture looking buildings. And I was so sold. It's BioShock. And then it turned out to be a Cuphead DLC, which is was not what I was expecting, but it does look fantastic. Cuphead DLC Island.
Yeah, the delicious last course. So this has been known for quite a while, and we've been waiting to see it again. I think a lot of people were kind of speculating, because it's been delayed for a while. Like, is this just going to be turned into a full-on sequel, or is it going to be released as DLC? I've been playing Cuphead recently, so that music is really iconic to me right now. It stands out. And the second I saw the band show up and start singing, I knew instantly that it was Cuphead, just from that reaction. So I was just so excited that this actually showed up. I mean, this was actually the standout of the show for me, I think, in terms of just the way it was revealed. Like that, the musical number was fantastic. The kind of, Isle of Misfit Toys type of claymation, they're walking up that mountain and it's all like, paper mache looking. Like, it was just phenomenal. The style that the Cuphead has is, I think it's like, if it's not one of the best stylistic video games of all time, like it's easily in that argument. Cuphead is just amazing. The game itself is great too, and I couldn't be more happy to, June 30th, Delicious Last Course comes out, and you bet your ass I'm going to be playing it on June 30th because, man, I'm loving Cuphead. And I'll talk about that on the regular show upcoming soon too. But yeah, this was a show stealer for me for sure.
It was well deserved, and once I got over the shock of it not being BioShock, I'm so glad it was Cuphead because that disappointment didn't get to last very long. It quickly turned into excitement. So, good for you, Cuphead. If you and BioShock ever want to do a crossover, you would go well together.
That would be it. Yeah.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Okay, so we'll finish our Sonic intermission and continue with our regular scheduled Sonic coverage here. We've got Sonic Frontiers, and this was just a trailer. But I am wondering, could this be an open world Sonic game? Are they kind of getting back from their hemming and hawing over the kind of 2D level style versus the 3D level style, and have they just said, fuck it all, like it's 2021, we're doing an open world?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I would never have pegged Sonic as a character that would mesh well with an open world, just because the nature of, like, he runs on tracks, like you're going down very specific courses and there's loop-de-loops and, a very defined path of like you're bouncing off springs in a certain way. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. We didn't see really any gameplay, obviously. It looked like a lot of the environments maybe had some of those type of ramps and Sonic style, items that you would see around. It seemed to me like there was a big enemy showing up at the end, like a Shadow of the Colossus kind of sized enemy. So I wonder if there's going to be like, are you running on these enemies and kind of working your way up them? Like they're the courses in the open world. I mean, I want nothing more than there to be a good Sonic game. I know he's like such an iconic game character, right? He's one of the characters that's just like an iconic character in the medium, but he just seems to always just eat shit most of the time and never gets anything good. So I would love him to make a return, but my hopes are quite low until we get a redeeming game, aside from Sonic Mania, which was actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's a fair take, and it's interesting you bring up the movement because I feel like it would be tricky to design an open world for Sonic. His movement style like does fit nicely on those tracks, but it's also an interesting idea in the sense of like, well, he's all about movement, and so the idea of how you get around the open world is kind of, it would be unique to Sonic. So I think it has some potential to kind of blend nicely in terms of character and world design, but I think they also have a challenge in their hands where it's like you're not just blowing past things, and I worry that it would be a very like bare world because you just need to like roam around, and you know, you don't necessarily want to like slow down to stop at things, but at the same time, like you don't want to just run through empty fields all day long. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, it's kind of an ambitious idea to turn Sonic into open world, and I don't know how well it translates to something like Mario, but you know, yeah, fingers crossed. Like Sonic needs a win, and
We
hopefully
will
this is
see.
it.
You know what? This falls under the category of I hope it's great, but my expectations are like very, very low. That's all
Yeah,
that's the summary of that one.
exactly. Exactly. We're hoping to be pleasantly surprised. So I guess moving on down the list, this is kind of where we're out of, I think, the really big stuff, and we kind of go with just some like
Yeah.
really quick hits. Kojima took a brief intermission to say hi and to tell us that he's really good friends with Del Toro, that
Right, yeah.
famous movie director. So they showed up to tell us that Nightmare Alley looks actually like a really good movie, kind of unsettling circus freak sort of thing with an all-star stacked cast.
Yeah, it looks good.
Um,
Bradley Cooper was I mean, I like Bradley Cooper.
yeah,
He seems to always make
Bradley
hits, you know. Yeah.
Cooper. Yeah, Willem Dafoe's in it, Kate Blanchett. Like it looked like a pretty good movie. So that was a nice intermission. I'm glad that those two get along. They're good buddies. So
Me too.
that was nice. Then we had a slight PUBG going on. I always forget about this game because Fortnite just kind of like, you know, devoured it. But they're getting the arcane characters, which is cool. So maybe they can kind of
Yeah.
pull back a little bit of the fun from Fortnite.
Sure.
Arcane's,
I mean,
you know, it's a big one to get. So
PUBG just somehow continues to thrive. Like when I played that game, I remember one of the early episodes of the show, I just couldn't have been more disappointed. And like, you know, the concept's cool, but I just feel like it's done so much better. But obviously there's a huge audience still for PUBG. And so, yeah, Arcane's no slouch. And
I think PUBG is the like you know, like PC Master Race version of
sure,
those
I think
kind
you're
of
right.
games.
Yeah, the hardcore gamer version of those other games. Yeah, gamer with a capital G. Those are those people for sure.
That's right. That's right. If you're drinking G Fuel, you're playing PUBG.
Yeah.
So moving on. So this next one has a bit of a funny story for me. We got a Vermintide Warrior Priest. And these games, I gotta say, look hella fun. I haven't played them, but like they just look like a great co-op time. But what was really funny, and I made my friend and I watched this trailer twice because the dwarf has a tattoo on his arm, and it looks a hell of a lot. When it goes by quickly, it looks a hell of a lot like the hunter symbol from Bloodborne.
Oh, wow.
And then there's also like one of the playable characters who's wearing the like Mick Cage helmet. And I was like, wait a second. Did they put some Bloodborne references in this game? And it turns out I don't think so. The tattoo is not the same. And Cage helmets are obviously just a great fashion choice in general. So I was not getting my cake on this one, but it probably looks hella fun.
Yeah, this game to me, I mean, I feel like their Warhammer is like one of those very small audience but very passionate fans type of games. So yeah. I mean, I've never met anyone that's ever played a Warhammer game, but at the same time, I'm happy for all 15 people that can't wait for this game.
Oh, 15. It's a bad number. You gotta have an even number to play with your friends. At least one person needs to hop on. We need 16 people. And
yeah. And I'm just kidding, by the way. I'm very happy for the Warhammer fans. I'm sure there's more than 15.
Remains to be seen. There's at least more than 15 Warhammer games. We'll say that. Right. They just seem to be in every single genre, and they will never go away. Next we got a game. I think we've shouted this out before on previous shows. We got Chia again. It's that really wholesome like island, kind of like one of those artistic games where you're exploring the island and you kind of hop into animals and fly around as birds, and it just looks like a really beautiful like, you know, like heartwarming experience. So it's nice to see more of that game. I think maybe it's like a good like little indie to check out. It's like a palate cleanser, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I think it seems, I mean, the easy comparison, Breath of the Wild with no combat kind of deal, like the exploration. I would liken it to a short hike, which is that short indie game kind of in the same vein, just a much lower fidelity version of what this game looks like. I really enjoyed that. So there's a chance I might check this out, but it depends what there is to do in this, and if people say, you know, the story's worth it, or there's some nice puzzles or something, because it would need something to grip me more than just looking around. But I mean, yeah, it looks good. Nice water.
Nice, yeah, good water. Nice birds. You know, the birds are cuddling. It was just so cute. Like it's one of those games I'm just glad it exists. Like it
Sure,
is
of
clearly
course.
a project, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Next up, apparently, this is a game that people were really looking forward to, and was like rumored to be here, which I'm surprised I had totally missed. Is Suicide Squad?
Hmm.
Uh, what do you think here?
So this game is one of those that like we've known about for a long time, but we hadn't really seen anything too much from it. It's from Rocksteady, I believe, right? And they're the ones behind. Did they do Batman? What did they do? People are really anticipating this just because of the studio Rocksteady behind them, and I'm sorry that I'm blanking on what they've made before.
Hmm.
To me, I mean, I'm not a Justice League person or a Suicide Squad person. I think that the gameplay looks pretty generic, if I'm gonna be honest. Like it seems very much like, which of these characters will you pick? And sure, they're like the comic characters, but it's like the shark guy is clearly just like, I'm gonna smash everything, and then the sniper guys or the fast guys like, I'm gonna run fast, and their personalities are like their one trait that they do very well. Not I don't want to like completely bash it. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to this and whatnot, but I honestly think that for the amount of people like just in general on the internet that have been kind of looking forward to this, I'm struggling to see a lot of creativity, I guess I would say.
Yeah. So Rocksteady, to backtrack a little bit, they did the Batman game, like the
Right,
Arkham
okay.
games.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So that's where that comes from, and it makes sense. They're moving on to another DC franchise with Suicide Squad, so that's going to be their niche. And yeah, I think this game is interesting to me because I wonder how it plays in comparison to the trailer, right? Like this is so cinematic and so fast paced, and the characters are like all over the place and doing cool stuff, and it's like, how does that necessarily translate into gameplay? Like, it's got to
Mm-hmm.
be slowed down when you're actually playing. And I guess it's kind of cool. All the different characters have a very like unique, like, yeah, there's the hulky shark guy, and then you get like wizard person and like fast guy, and it's cool if they're all different. But
Yeah,
yeah, I just the Suicide Squad. There's so much superhero stuff out there right now. It's so oversaturated, and like there's stuff I know I like, and I don't. There's nothing else about like superheroes that grips me. I feel like we've got too much, and I don't want to bother trying to get with the Suicide Squad. And they're
sure.
edgy and like
Yeah.
I don't know.
The one thing I will
The
say
movie
about it
didn't do him
though,
any favors.
yeah, no, that's true. The one thing I will say about it is that I think it's a cool concept playing as the villains, and that I know that's the whole thing about the
Hmm.
Suicide Squad. But I'm interested to
Yeah.
see because the game is called Kill the Justice League. Like I'm interested to see how they treat the heroes of that universe as enemies in the game, and kind of what
Right.
the story beats of that are. So I think I'm interested about that, but I'm more interested in terms of like I'd like to watch someone break down this game, or maybe watch some videos rather
Hmm.
than actually play it myself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So next up we have Forspoken. So we've seen more of this. As another really cool trailer, and obviously this is the OG project Athia, which has turned into its full-fledged game. The magic in this looks so incredibly cool. I love the elemental stuff. The movement is amazing. It just looks so fluid the way she's like skating and running around. And this one's weird for me though, because I kind of almost think I preferred it when it was Project Athia.
Mm,
The idea of it just being that fantasy universe appealed to me more than like a normal human getting pulled into a fantasy universe and then becoming like an anime star. And um, it doesn't look bad. It still looks good. I'm definitely excited for this. But I kind of, the main character, I don't know, something about her, like I'm just not being drawn in by her specifically.
hmm.
And I might eat my words totally when I play it, but there's always just this one kind of thing that's not tangible for me that doesn't let me get 100% into these trailers. But at the same time, like you said, this is another standout of like next gen. Like this could not have been done on previous consoles, and it just looks like the amount of detail that they've got going on and how fluid it looks is just incredible to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that like wholeheartedly. I think especially the facial capture and the animation of the character. I forget her name. I don't know if we even know her name, but it just looks phenomenal. Like she looks like a real person in some of those shots if you were to quickly glance at your TV. And I'm gonna disagree with you actually. I think that I'm actually way more interested in this game since it's become Forspoken. I think that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as someone that's not traditionally into a lot of the high fantasy type of like wizards and that type of thing, the way that they're changing it up and bringing someone from a modern society kind of into that type of world is maybe a way that's gotten me more excited to enter a world like that with a different spin on it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she seems like a very interesting character. We've actually seen the actress come out a couple
Mm-hmm.
times and talk as well, and I mean, she seems like she's very passionate.
Yeah.
She seems like
Yeah, she
she's,
does.
you know,
Absolutely.
she's very interested in the role and the world. So, I mean, I this one's climbing up my list every time the last couple times we've seen it, and so
Mm-hmm.
I very well may play this when it comes out. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up, we got another Warhammer game, but this one is a Space Marine version, and we had the developers up here to talk about it. They brought the chainsaw gun, so that is incredibly badass. They got a chainsaw gun for like a Gears of War style thing. The boys are big and chunky. They are huge. We learned recording for our Halo episode that Master Chief has a massive head and he's 7 feet tall. These Marine boys look like they might be of that caliber. And they have spider dogs with swords for legs. So those are the takeaways from this Warhammer trailer I
That
got.
caliber. That's such a funny way to
Apparently,
say that.
that's right.
You know, I've only got one thing to say
Yeah.
about this trailer myself, and I'm going to steal it right here from gamesradar.com, the site we're referencing here.
Okay.
It's exactly what we were hoping for. The Marines are enormous, the Tyranids need shredding, and Captain Titus is still pissed. And that's how I feel about this game.
Perfect. We couldn't have said it better. Keeping on with that silly vibe, we got a Saints Row Self-Made up next. I think you played some Saints Row, right?
Yeah, I've played Saints Row 2 and 3. Really enjoyed 2 specifically. I think 3 got a bit zany, and 2 was a nice line between, like, you know, it's like GTA, but just wacky, and I really appreciated that. If this game ends up being more along the lines of Saints Row 2, it actually might be one of my more anticipated games because I really enjoyed that one. If it's more of the wacky stuff or if it tries to get a little bit more GTA, I think I'll fall off, but this is one that I'll definitely just need to see the reviews and see where it lands on that before I make a decision. But yeah, it looks good. I'm excited to see Saints Row come back as a franchise, if nothing else. It's been a while since 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I got a question for you. How big of a Nightmare Before Christmas fan are you?
Very small, but I'm a bigger fan of Nightmare Before Christmas than I am of Fall Guys, so at least there's that.
Ooh, that's a rough sell. Yeah, they are the next Fall Guys package. They look very cute. Every emo kid in middle school had a Jack Skellington sweater, and that's what I know about it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Fall Guys is doing great, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, I think it's a big
Yep.
game in the streaming universe. I think a lot of people obviously play it in that kind of realm, and it's fun for the content and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm glad it exists. It's not something I'm probably going to pick up again, but they look like they take care to do good jobs with their DLC, if nothing else.
Yeah, they do. There's so many characters in that game by now. Like Aloy's in it. Like you just got everyone under the sun could be a Fall Guy. And it is cute. And it was fun that free weekend or that free time we had.
It was. I mean,
so
yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was.
I respect Fall Guys. Yeah, exactly. I have a lot of respect for Fall Guys. Then we got this one's kind of interesting. We got Dune Spice Wars. So it's a 4X game based on I'm assuming the novels by Frank Herbert. I want to say. They've been on my to read list for a very long time. I own the book and I'm embarrassed I haven't read it. I also haven't seen the movie because I haven't read the book yet. So that means the game has to go on the very end of the list of that train of things of Dune I'm allowed to go for. But I think it's cool. It's a 4X game because from what I know that they're very like political kind of books. And so that translates well. I gotta say, like, I really liked the trailer, how it was kind of showing some of the world and it was being held in the palm of someone's hands. And I thought that was a really cool way to like show a 4X game. So shout out, I think it was a really good trailer, but you know, it was more of just like a name drop than anything else.
Yeah, Dune is a franchise that I'm quickly feeling compelled to catch up on just because of the hype of the movie, and this trailer, it looked pretty cool, but I just don't have a touchstone to relate to what it really is. Like you, I've not read the books. I actually just bought Dune on my Kindle. It was on a good sale, so
Mm.
I do intend to read it, and I mean, I'd like to read that, see the movie, just the same as what you said. So I've never played a 4X game before. I've always wanted to dive into Civ. I just find it really intimidating,
They
especially if
are.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to teach it to myself. Like I just feel like it's a world where I'd almost need to sit down with someone to teach me how to play. But the thing
Hmm.
is, if I do read the book or watch the movie or something, maybe this is a way that I could get into that type of genre, depending how much I like the rest of the content. So yeah, Dune's killing it right now. Apparently, what's gonna come next? Who knows? Dune theme park, maybe we'll see in
Dune
2023.
theme park. Dune theme park in the desert. Maybe not. Next up, we got Tiny Tina's Wonderland showed up again. I feel like we've seen a lot of this game, and I think like I've seen enough of it to know that I think it looks like a really awesome co-op time. Just kind of like dick around. It looks hilarious. Spend some time with friends. But this trailer, like I feel like I've seen all I need to know about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and
Yeah,
I'm good on it.
I'm the same as you. I mean, Deathloop came out, so they can't be showing that off at every conference anymore. So now it's got to be Tiny Tina, and we're going to see
Right.
her every time until that comes out. One thing I do appreciate about the Game Awards is the little skits they have. They bring
Yeah.
out some actors sometimes, and we talked about Pot Boy and whatever for Elden Ring. This was one of the skits that really was kind of secondhand cringe for me, with Will Arnett and Ashley Birch coming out, and it's unfortunate because I really like Will
Yeah.
Arnett. Ashley Birch, I mean, they're both amazing actors in their own right, but yeah, that was quite cringy, in my opinion, and yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as one of the ones we have later, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But next up, this is the weirdest game of the show for me. We've got Dokev again, and I feel like it's this year's Death String, where every time I see it, I understand less and less. Last time we saw it, it was like you were like roaming around this city, an open world, it has like creature capture, and now it's like just like a concert that we watched, and I don't know what's going on with Dokev. It's so weird.
I know. I feel like that game is just. It's almost like the kind of game where they just want you to play Dokev and nothing but Dokev. Like you're living that world like a Minecraft or like a Roblox or one of those type of games that just people don't play games, they just play that. Like that's kind of what that's screaming to me. I don't understand it at all, to be honest. It looks interesting, but I mean, well, it looked interesting in that previous trailer we saw. This one did not do it for me. There was like a K-pop dance that went on. I mean, if that's your thing, great. It's probably not for me, but yeah.
Yeah, it was very tough to tell, like, if it was just like a dance number that they'd made to like hype up the
I
game, or
think
if that's
that's what it
actually like
was.
something in game. And I think that's what it was too. But it was like, like they're
I
gonna
think
hold
that's what it
concerts
was,
in
but
here.
here's the thing. I think that's what it was, but the fact that we're debating that means that it's not clearly marketed,
Yeah.
and so
Yes.
that's where we're at with Dokev.
That's where we're at. I don't know. Dokev is a thing. These next two games, James, are two of my most anticipated hyped up games.
Now, hang on one
These
second.
next 10 minutes of the Game Awards. Mhm.
Did we not skip Among Us VR?
I am so sorry. We skipped Among Us VR.
That's okay.
Among Us is coming to
I just
VR.
think it's worth shouting out. Like Among Us, I know it really got hype for us a little bit there, but VR might be like a really cool place to put a game like that. If you envision playing that style of game, but in first person, like a VR headset, that could be a lot of fun.
Yep, I agree. I think the only downside to that is you need to have some friends you need to have multiple VR
Right.
headsets, and that is a big barrier to entry.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I completely agree. I think that's awesome. I think it's so cool. People are still having a good time with Among Us, and it wasn't just like a flash in the pan trend. So awesome, enjoy. I'm so sorry, Among Us. Please be among our show. I forgot you. But now we will get to probably my two hypest games potentially for this show. And the first one is Steel Rising. So we saw Nightingale, and this is exactly what I wanted Nightingale to be, but maybe cooler. So it's got that Victorian setting again, but this time it's steampunky, but it's like really clean, like pristine, elegant steampunk. It isn't just the like chugging along like machines that look like they're about to fall apart. it is the really like clean, like polished silver kind of these like mechatronic, almost kind of like animals, and some of the people look like they've got like like enhancements where they're like half human, half machine, and
Yeah.
it it was just a trailer. It didn't really tell us what the game was going to be, but based on the trailer, it kind of gave me the idea that it might be a potential for like a melee combat kind of RPG, which obviously speaks to my interests. So this is my biggest like I don't know, but like fingers crossed I'm keeping my eye on.
Yeah, this one's definitely same for me as well. Like I obviously we need to know more about the game. We need to know exactly what you're doing. But just a trailer like this, I mean, how can this not catch your eye, right? It's so impressive. The weapon that one girl has, that's like the clock with those like side pieces that kind of move around. Like that's such a creative and interesting combat kind of, I guess, weapon. It looks great. I can't wait to see more of this. Is it going to be out anytime soon? Probably not, but hopefully we get to see more looks at this and exactly what it is, because this could be at the top of the list or very near.
Yeah, this looks really freaking cool. And cool in a completely opposite way. The next one we got to see Metal Hellsinger again, and oh my god, like this is basically it's Doom. It is an intense, over the top shooter, just gory, like fast paced, demon slaying all over the place. But the spin on this is that it is actually a rhythm game, and you have to shoot on beat. And they keep going over, like they've got Ginger, Arch Enemy, Soilwork, Lamb of God. Like they got all these amazing bands. Trivium, they got all these amazing bands to do the soundtrack for this game. And I think we saw this last year at E3. It was unveiled. And oh my god, I cannot wait to play this game. Like this is gonna be like, I'm so sorry to my neighbors when this game comes out, because I am gonna be playing this for at least like a week straight and just absolutely enjoying the music.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. I think fans of the show might know we're both pretty big metal fans, and I mean the soundtrack alone and like the pedigree of the music that they're putting in this game. I'm gonna play it no matter what the kind of the reviews are, just because if anything else, it'll be fun to just slam it down on easy mode and listen to the music. So that's what I'm thinking. And even if it's not the greatest gameplay wise, and it actually looks pretty fun too. So yeah, this is definitely one on my list, no doubt about it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like it's one of those things. I think I said it last time when we saw the game originally released, or like the trailer was shown, and some of those things were like it's such a clever, but like how has no one thought of this before? Because when you play those kind of games, you get into such a rhythm, and they really do feel like they're rhythmic to a degree, right? And so to merge that with actually making it mechanically a rhythm game as well, is it's so clever, but at the same time it's like, whoa, like it's such a good idea. How has no one come up with this? So like props to Metal Hellsinger. Like you're doing good work.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the rhythm genre used to just be like, well, it's Guitar Hero and DDR. And later on, a few years ago, we saw what's Cadence of Hyrule, and what's the other one it's based on, where it's like
Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Crypt of the Necrodancer, but it's like a rhythm game, but it's also a kind of
like a dungeon crawler.
And this is just another way that we kind of prove as an industry that maybe rhythm games can be more than just like dancing and playing instruments. So that's really cool. And to me, I'm just like, I wonder what the next rhythm game will be. Like what's the next genre they'll take it on.
It'll be interesting to see, because I think rhythm games are really popular in Japan. Like you can go to arcades and it's like just rhythm games.
Taiko
and, like, they're
Drum
really
Master
intense,
and all those, yeah.
Taiko Drum Master, yeah, Donkey Konga. So it's a lot of good ones. But yeah, it's nice to see them get a little more popularity, especially in the West, because like we're huge music people as well, and so to get that kind of integrated into games in a neat way is always fun.
I'm
so
really
really
scared for this next
Hellsinger.
part of I'm scared for this next part of the show for us, Kate.
We got a couple quick ones that I think we'll just blast through. Rocket League exists, so congratulations to Rocket League.
Rocket League is great. Let's not glaze over this. Shout out to you, Rocket League.
It is, but I don't think they really showed anything. I think it was just more like, here's Rocket League.
Sure, just gotta shout it out,
Yeah, you gotta shout it out. We get Star Trek Resurgence, which kind of looks like maybe another one of those Telltale style games. Not made by Telltale, but within that kind of like decision making storytelling kind of game, I think. So
Yeah.
this one was really funny. This one was really funny because, like I said at the top of the show, the guy I was watching with was excited for The Expanse, and we saw this, and he's like, "Oh, this is The Expanse game! It's real!" And then, of course, they're showing like the Star Trek guys. He's like, "Oh, hang on,
Spock shows
like,
up. Yeah.
wait, that's Spock." And so we were like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, maybe I heard wrong. Maybe it was really Star Trek." And so we were kind of bummed about this game. It
Yeah.
wasn't its fault, but this was kind of a
No.
bummer.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think it's actually from some former Telltale people, but I thought
Okay.
this was probably the roughest looking game in the show. Like for all the
Yep.
games that we've had coming out with these amazing next gen looking graphics, and not the graphics and looks are everything, but to a certain point, especially in like a story, probably dialogue driven game like these Telltale games end up being, like I thought these characters looked quite disappointing. And hopefully
Stiff?
this is
Yeah.
some earlier footage, and they've got some time to fix it up before then. But I mean, if I'm a Star Trek fan, I'm probably playing this. I'm not a Star Trek fan, so I'm definitely not going to play it. But I mean, I think that the game has definitely some improvements it could make in terms of its visuals, though, for sure.
Yeah, it was not the best showing, that's for sure. And then kind of the last game in the sort of lull period I think we had was Rumbleverse, and I'm sure this looks like it could be kind of fun. It's Epic Games again, so I guess this is they're branching out from doing Fortnite, and they're getting what seems to be maybe another battle royale, I want to say, but different kind of melee
Yeah,
instead of guns is
yeah.
kind of what it looked like to me. But this trailer just went on for so long, and I was just tired of it by the end. Like it didn't do anything for me. Yeah, what do you think? Rumbleverse or
You know what?
Fumbleverse?
There's just yeah, Fumbleverse maybe so. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
big market for these kind of games right now. The battle royale is huge. The games with this type of graphic style are huge right now, especially in like the streaming place. And I mean, we're definitely, I don't think, the target for this. I feel like these type of things really skew towards a younger audience. I think we're kind of missed the boat on this. I feel like this game is just kind of doomed to be in that tier of like no one will really play it because Fortnite exists and some of the other big games exist, and so I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those that kind of shuts its servers down. I mean, I'm really speculating here obviously, but I think just the similarities to Fortnite will, like, what is it doing that's drawing people away from Fortnite? Basically,
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to say. And so I hope it succeeds. I mean, I'd love to see the diversity. I think that the melee focus stuff is interesting. I just don't know if I have a lot of confidence that it can like break into that very saturated pool of games.
Yeah, I think that's a fair critique, and we'll see more. Maybe they have an exciting twist on it, but this trailer really didn't show me anything that stood out. But we're out of the lull now, and we're gonna go spike right up to probably would be in the other top 5 of my most excited games. Another look at like what next gen can do, because holy shit, running through that field of flowers was one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. And that, of course, is Plague Tale Requiem. We had Amicia chasing our dear Hugo. And, it's funny how perceptions change. When we first both started Plague Tale, we were really hot and cold on it. We weren't totally sure. And the more I played that game, the more my opinion just absolutely skyrocketed. And I think even after having given it some time away, my opinion of the game has only gone up. I think it was just a beautiful story. I absolutely fell in love with the characters, and so to see some Plague Tale Requiem and to see my second, the best brother sister duo, second to us, of Amicia and Hugo, it just looked amazing. She's got a crossbow now. Looks like you've
Yeah.
got some other kind of tools and gadgets at your disposal, and this has shot up from I don't know how I feel about this to like could be a day one purchase, Plague Tale
Wow.
2.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I definitely think that you're hotter on the original Plague Tale than I
Yeah.
was. Judging, not that I disliked it, but I think you're definitely it was more for you than it was for me. That being said, I think this looked great, and I think that the faults that I had with Plague Tale could easily be fixed in this
Yeah.
game. With obviously it's bigger and more budget, more expansive than the first one, so I'm optimistic about it. Honestly, I think it's something that I would play. I don't think it'll be a day one type of thing for me, but it's just it's you know what it is it's feeding that kind of third person narrative action type of, once you
Yeah.
finish God of War, once you finish the other ones that are on your list to play, like for me this would be like, if I'm itching for that and there's not another thing coming out, then this would be something I would go into and probably have a good
Yeah.
time.
That's true, and I think what does it for me is I really love the setting of Plague Tale. I think that's like, a period of history that's not explored very often, and of course, as the game goes on, they really go down with some additional fantasy elements, and so, it's not necessarily a historical game, but it is based, on a historical time period, and I think that's just neat, something a little bit different and something a little bit more grounded, than a lot of the really fantastical worlds we get, which I do enjoy, but it's kinda nice to have something a little bit more grounded in human history. So I
Mm-hmm.
like that about Plague Tale. It's fresh, it's different, and I think it was really masterfully done in one. So I can't wait to see them kind of polish up some of the areas that we had a little bit of complaints and
Yeah.
just kind of blow me away with two.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
agreed
and
completely.
yeah. And so this next one, speaking of the narrative games, this kind of gave me some Last of Us vibes. We got a Dying Light 2, Stay Human. And of course, the zombie plague is very Last of Us to me. But the main character had a cool lightsaber kind of weapon, which is not very Last of Us, but is also still cool. But yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with the Dying Light series, aside from the fact that I call Beyond Light, the Destiny expansion, Dying Light every single time I talk about it, and I get corrected all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's all I've really got for my Dying Light experience.
Yeah, this is just one of those that we've seen. It's been, I think it was been in development hell for quite a while. Like, I feel like we've just seen this a bunch, and I just want it to come out, and I feel like it's kind of one of those destined to come out and kind of just be forgotten type of games. We'll see, but I don't have a lot of faith that this is going to be a huge hit, unfortunately. Although I'm sure a lot of people will like it at the same time.
Mhm. So moving on, we're kind of in another lull. We got Crossfire, which is kind of like a spacey game. I didn't really get tons from this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Crossfire X is like a really big game over in I think Japan, or there's a I know it's a really big shooter overseas somewhere that we just really haven't got over here. So whether it
mhm,
catches over here, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of, similar to Rumbleverse, there's a lot of competition in like the online shooter space.
mhm,
Especially Halo just came out. Like Apex is a king.
mhm.
There's the new Battlefield, Call of Duty. There's just so many games in this type of genre. So I mean, we'll see if it catches, but I wouldn't be betting it's going to be a huge thing.
Mhm. That's fair. Next, we finally got Fortnite showing up. We knew it was going to be here. You can't have a presentation without Fortnite. But what is really cool is Spider-Man is here. You can swing around, which is a cool new mechanic. I hear that he comes with the fun pointing meme, and you can be all Spider-Man kind of pointing at each other.
That's
So
cool. I
that's
like
super
that.
cute. I like that a lot. So Fortnite is not a game I play, but tons of respect. It's so much fun. I imagine how much fun it would be being like a developer on Fortnite. They just seem like they have a blast and like just love throwing in like great fan service
Oh,
stuff. So
totally. And like the
good for you,
Rock's in
Fortnite.
Fortnite too.
Spider-Man is an absolute the
Yeah,
rocks.
the Rock. I'm pretty sure the Rock is coming to
There's
Fortnite
rocks in
now too, isn't he?
Fortnite.
The Rock.
Oh, the rock.
I
Oh,
think the
okay.
Rock
I
is
thought you
coming
said
there, isn't he?
rocks. Like Fortnite.
No,
Oh, okay. I thought you
I
said
don't know.
Fortnite just has nice
No,
rocks.
well, it does. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, Fortnite on the
It
PS5
does.
is one of the best looking games on the PS5, and that's not a joke. Like it looks great, but yeah, I mean, I dive in and out of Fortnite sometimes. We'll see how good Spider-Man is to play. Like
Mhm.
I'm so excited to be. Not only people are building towers above me and shooting me from the sky, but now Spider-Man's also going to be swinging around and owning me from above while I'm on the ground learning how to build. That'll be fun when I play next.
Perfect. And you will be playing that instead of the next battle arena, which we've got another one coming out, Vampire Blood Hunt. We've seen a lot of this one, and to be honest, looks like there's cool mobility options in this game and some really neat vampire abilities that you can have. And I think if I was to play a battle royale, this one might be one of the more interesting ones for me.
Mm.
But I'm done with battle royales. I'm ready for the next trend, and yeah, I feel like this game has just been like announced for so long and just it's coming out kind of right at the tail end, and it's a shame. I think it'll just be smothered again.
Yeah, I ain't got much on this one. It's not going to take me away from Apex, so that's pretty much that.
Yeah. And then so that we had Darren Korb showed up, and this was his moment after some vampire and of course Imagine Dragons, and JID was there, and it was just amazing. And if you're not really into watching all the commercials, at least go and watch this performance. They did like Build a Wall plus Enemy, and like Build a Wall is like such a slow, like almost westerny kind of like somber feel, and then Enemy is this like amazing like rock like rap. It's got everything going on, and it was absolutely wonderful. So go check out Darren Korb.
Yeah, it was a great performance. All the music, like we said earlier,
It was
was
really
great.
good. Yeah, 10 out of 10. I just wanted to shout that out. So we're getting pretty close to the end of the show. We had a couple games that it was kind of weird. Like you said, it was a little top heavy. I didn't feel like they really saved like the biggest thing till the end, which is kind of strange. So we got a few more games to run through. There was a GTFO, which I think the best thing about this name is the game. I love the idea. It's kind of like that, like survival kind of horror, and you're like a team of players. It's co-op. You go in and you have to get whatever files you're looking for, and then you got to get out from all these alien monsters attacking you. And it's such a cute name, but I don't know. I feel like there's also a million of these kind of games, and I don't know if it stands out otherwise.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I think it was just like I said about a few others. Like it's kind of just another trailer among trailers, and you not everything can stand out, right? And that's kind of what this was for me as well. But I'm sure it'll have, horror co-op is not an often seen combination, so maybe it's got something there.
And then we had Chorves. This is, I'm not sure how to pronounce one. Chorves. It looks like a space dogfighting game, but not a bullet hell. So sad news for me. Is this, is it giving you Star Wars Squadron vibes or?
No, you know what? Squadrons was my fill on that. I don't need any more.
Yeah. Fair enough. Then we'll continue on rapid fire. We got to the Halo section. Of course, Infinite showed up. Fun seeing another trailer for that game. But the big takeaway for this is there's a Halo TV show, and it actually looks super cool. There were some really pretty space money shots. The suit in particular, I made note of, looks really good. Like I'm assuming, my guess is it's got to be like a practical suit with some like CGI enhancements on top of that. But Chief looked good. I really, despite not being a Halo person, I really want to watch this.
Yeah, I think I'm going to watch it too. I think Infinite's got me interested in learning a bit more about the Halo lore and all that kind of world. I mean, we'll talk about more on our Wednesday show coming up, as we said, all about Halo Infinite. But yeah, I think Halo's priming itself to kind of take back some of the share of the mind share in terms of like the gaming space now. It's been so long since we've had a lot of Halo, and now Infinite had this success and the TV shows coming out. Like we might be seeing a big resurgence for Halo coming up. In fact, we are. So we'll see what comes out after the TV series, and hopefully it's good because it's obviously gonna have a lot of expectations on it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, we have made it to the highlight of the show. The best thing that ever happened at Game Awards. Pot Boy showed up. Pot Boy's here. He's an absolute meme. He was in like half a second of the original Elden Ring trailer, and everybody latched on to how much we love him. So he showed up, special guest. He had a really beautiful little note for Jeff, and that was to tell him that there was a new story trailer for Elden Ring. And holy shit, if I wasn't excited for this game to begin with, like this has blown me away. Not only have I watched this trailer many times, Vaddy, of course, the biggest Souls guy in the community, had done a breakdown of it. And just the amount of detail, like he's showing, like he's already got like the world lore figured out from just this trailer, because there are so many amazing little hidden details. Like he's catching like small tiny runes on people's armor that, he's corresponded to spells that you can cast, and so those runes match up, and he's like figured out like what these runes must mean. And like we're already like deep down the rabbit hole of Elden Ring lore and story, and we've gotten like 2 trailers, and I love it. I love the Norse inspiration in this one. I can't say anything more than holy shit, does this look special?
I'm right there with you, honestly. I think it looks special too. I think this world is potentially the most exciting world that they've ever put in a Souls game. I mean, I love Bloodborne. I think it's an amazing world in its own right, but this is proving like it looks to be probably just as interesting. I don't think I'll play Elden Ring, but I'll never say never because it does look really cool. I'm just really excited for you and our good friend Mike there to get to finally play this. One thing I will say about this is that this is a good example of like that pot was on stage for longer than half the award winners. Like it's interesting that it got like more time on the stage than the award winners on an award show. Kind of interesting. I guess it shows like the priorities of what this ends up being at the end of the day. But I mean, Elden Ring looks great, and there's a reason that it won most anticipated game again. So yeah.
Again. And yeah, well, you just shut up, Pot Boy. I'm gonna be honest. I lost my shit when I saw Pot Boy. I was like pointing the screen. I was
I liked him too.
Like, that's Pot Boy. I was like, that trailer showed, and I looked at him, and I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I gotta go for a run. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, my heart was literally like racing. Like, I felt like I just beat an Elden Ring boss just seeing Pot Boy show up on the stage. So, I'm happy. I'll be happy forever.
Yes.
So that is what you'd think they would close the show out with, but we actually have two more things. We got Arc Raiders, which I had not heard of before.
Yeah, but, let's just say, I mean, they closed the show out with Game of the Year. It is the award show, like that. Is the
right,
final
yeah,
thing.
It's an award show, so, right? Yeah, of course, yeah, sure. Sure, people cared about that too.
Yeah.
Did Pot Boy win Game of the Year? He won Pot of the Year, that's for sure.
Well, not much competition there though.
No. But anyway, we got to see Arc Raiders, which I kind of looked up afterwards because I thought I was unclear of what it was. And so it's an Embark Studios game coming out sometime in 2022. And it's actually like a free-to-play co-op shooter, which I did not get from this trailer. I really thought this seemed like a kind of like a story-driven first-person shooter. But it looks like it's got a really cool world. They've got sort of like, it reminds me a bit of Star Wars is what I really see from it. They've kind of got the big like mechs that walk around, and like it's got that space kind of, like Star Wars sort of style to it. I don't know. I feel like this is something that people are really excited for, but I just I'd never heard of or knew to anticipate.
I think this is the first we've seen of this actually, from what I can
So
remember. I think this is a brand new reveal, and I honestly think this looks really impressive. Like the graphics in this game, when they're shooting those guns and the way that the enemies kind of explode and the smoke kind of comes off, like there's some really nice effects going on here, especially for a game that's like free to play. Usually you wouldn't associate it with being huge in the budget, but it looks like a really high quality game. I'm down to definitely try this out for sure. And it's interesting you bring up Star Wars, because I think it's being developed by people from some of the people from the Battlefront team that did some of those games.
Okay.
So that's an interesting thing to pick up on for sure. But yeah, this looks great, and I love the branding with like that rainbow kind of line down the side and the font and everything. Like they've really got that nice aesthetic going. Like it's very much it's very recognizable, right? Like you'd never see that and be confused about what it is. So I think this game is looking good.
Exactly. And I will say too, I really like the music. It was kind of not at all what I expected. And at first I thought it didn't really mesh very well, but as it went on, I thought it was kind of like a neat juxtaposition, like the really kind of upbeat soundtrack that I would not have expected with a space shooter. But I think it could be kind of fun, almost like gives me like kind of Guardians of the Galaxy sort of vibes, with just giving it that lighthearted tone. So it could be good. It could be good. And then, all right, we have almost made it. Of course, the last thing, the big thing they had at the end was Keanu Reeves came out.
Yes.
A star almost as big as Pot Boy, not quite. But of course, Keanu was there, and Trinity was there as well. I'm blanking on the actress's name.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss, thank you. So they showed up, and they showed us some another look at Matrix Resurrection, which is, of course, the new Matrix movie coming out. And then we also got to see Matrix Awakens, which is the Unreal 5 Uncanny Valley terrifying. It looks terrifying. So incredibly good. It is terrifying. And I love that it's the Matrix is what we're kind of getting to see with this, because, of course, the Matrix is all about, like, being actually in technology when you think it's reality. And so it was, I don't know if they intentionally are trying to point out that as kind of like a funny little joke, but the blending of those two works very well together. But oh my God, yeah, this is it's cool, but almost unsettling in a weird way.
Yeah, I agree with you like totally. It's like remember that first Unreal 5 engine gameplay thing we saw before that I don't think it was even a real game. We just kind of saw the way that all those rocks moved around and like the dust particles and all the
Mhm.
rocks independently interacted. And yeah, this is just more of the
Right.
same. Like I watched this through just one time actually when I was watching the show, but I went back through and I saw some people posting screenshots online of kind of what this looks like. And man, like the car, there's one picture of like a car parked on the side of the road with some lighting, and like it looks better than real life. Like it's truly
Mhm.
amazing kind of the way that this looks. And it just, I think we've said it a couple times, but we've gotten some looks this Game Awards of like, some games that are really beginning to show the difference between this gen and kind of what last gen was. And if this type of trailer is an indication of what games are going to start looking even more like going forward and some of the stuff they can do, like it's just mind-blowing how realistic and how many like physics type of, like, what am I trying to say, like how they can get things to interact in such a realistic way, whether it be lighting or
Mhm.
like tangible objects or facial capture or whatever it is. Like it looks astounding.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was kind of a funny way to close it in terms of like it's not the biggest game, it's not a new hype like of course The Matrix is big and so Awakens
Yeah.
is a big game, but it wasn't the most hype game, but it really was the most like kind of like next gen like amazing technology that they could really show off. And it really did end on kind of like a subtle but like really big bang in a way. And so yeah, I don't know if necessarily I would play a Matrix game. Just I like the movies. I'm gonna go see Resurrections probably, but just not something that really like speaks to me in terms of like playing a video game. But like, oh my god, am I slightly nervous but excited to see what kind of stuff gets made in Unreal Engine 5 because holy shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not a Matrix person. I've only seen the first movie. I don't really have any interest in seeing the next one. But yeah, just like technically showing this off is incredible. And I just know like when we get to see something similar to this, but it's a property that I've more interest in, I just know it's gonna be
Mhm.
like a unbelievable experience, whatever that ends up being. Who knows what it'll be? But yeah, very very promising for the future. That's for sure. And that was
Mhm.
it. Hey, like that's everything we
Yeah.
saw. What a list! What a lot of stuff.
What a
Um,
list. Yeah.
Man, a lot of commercials for Nintendo Switch games in there as well. Like commercials
Yep.
though.
Right.
Also,
We had commercials for our commercials.
right, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall it was a fun show, probably a little long in the tooth, and some sections, some of those lulls kind of happened along the middle and whatnot. But when you break it down, like on paper of everything we got to see, like it was an impressive show, especially with the stuff we didn't know about, like Alan Wake not leaking and
Yeah.
having that sequel announced, like that was just something else. And the fact that like there was a major Star Wars game that also wasn't leaked,
Mhm.
it was a good show, and I'm glad they were able to keep some stuff under wraps, which is
Yeah.
always nice. And yeah, any final thoughts on the Game Awards?
No, I think I had a really good time. I think if I really had to shout out just the few that I'm really looking forward to, it's obviously the Alan Wake and Plague Tale sequels, two games I adore and I'm excited to get more. Um, Slitterhead, I don't know about it. Something about it's gonna haunt my nightmares.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about Metal Hellsinger and Steel Rising are big games for me that I'm looking forward to. And you know what? I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that Sonic Frontiers has a good go.
Yeah, you know what? We're always hoping for the next iteration of Sonic Adventure to come along and
Could
blow
you
us away.
imagine that's
So
what it turns out to
you never
be?
know. You never know. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those are standouts for me too. Like Metal Hellsinger is a big one for me. Arc, I'm interested in checking out, especially since it's free. I think that'll be great.
Mhm.
Saints Row, of course, like catches my eye. Like I said, depending on which of the Saints Row games it's kind of alike. And for me, the steal of the show really was Cuphead, Delicious Last Course.
Yeah.
Especially with the presentation. But let's not forget about Hellblade at the start too. Like that was
Yeah.
seriously impressive. And I think that after playing the first one, I know that game is really acclaimed, and that very well may be near the top of the list as well by the time we play the first one. So lots of good stuff there, lots of good stuff. And if you want to let us know what exactly was your favorite thing at the Game Awards, what stood out to you, you can send us your emails to circlesandsquarespod@gmail.com, or you can get in touch with us on Twitter as well at CNSPod. This is usually the part of the show where we would tackle a listener mail question and get into something from our lovely community. But you know what? This is a freaking long episode, and we've had a lot to talk about. So we're gonna, for one more time, we're gonna skip the listener mail for today, but I promise we will be getting back to that in the future. So please do write in your emails. Again, questions, comments, concerns, fun stories, anything you want to tell us that you want us to read on the air. We'll talk about it. We'll have a good time, and we look forward to getting those messages. So please send them in. And like we said, look forward on Wednesday to our upcoming episode of the Circles and Squares Extra podcast, where we talk all about Halo Infinite. And Kate, I think that's going to wrap us up for today's show. So we will see everyone, of course, on Extra, but again, next Monday as well, back on the Circles and Squares news report for all the fun gaming news that is going to happen between now and then. So look forward to that, and we'll see you then.